Hello everyone, my name is Zoe VanZino, and I have been tasked with implementing a mechanic designed by one of my peers into this tile-based game project. The name of the mechanic I've introduced is teleportation spaces, and it was originally designed by Alan Hill. So, getting into the level itself, the player is now stuck in this little area. They have two options, E to interact or R to reset the level. Interacting with this box consumes stamina, and they find this space. What does this do? It is the aforementioned teleport space. So I made it the teleportation spaces now use stamina, which I will be discussing later. Continuing through the level, there are now 3 options for the player to choose from, all of which will teleport them down to the slide puzzle area below. We'll go with this one here. So now the player is stuck in this slide tile area where they slide on the tiles and they must figure out how to get to the exit. Once they reach the exit, they're greeted with another teleportation tile and one last box to break. If they have enough stamina, they'll be able to get through. If they've run out of stamina, they will not be able to complete the exit. So, getting into the nitty-gritty of it all, the teleport tile from Alan, it is a child of the tile class, which means it inherits all of the different functionality of that class, being able to have interactables assigned with it. It can detect previous tile, it can detect the player. Moving through the blueprint, we set the player, set the tile as we do, and here's where we start to get to what I added in. So in the version that Alan presented, the tile would show the player teleporting back and forth. So when you stepped onto the teleport tile, you could see the player physically move from one tile to the other. So I implemented a very quick branch that checks if the object is the player. If it is the player, it turns the players off, which means the entire scene component of the player is turned off, so no random heads or arms get turned off. And then once it's out, it turns the player back on. I have propagate to children checked because as long as the scene component is selected and you propagate it to children, the entirety of the player will be removed. If you select different sections of the player, like the head or the nose, only that part will disappear. This branch here is a bug fix from Alan that he mentioned where there would be an issue where the player would teleport back and forth between the tiles endlessly. And this branch here, along with the tile destination of the player here and the previous tile, ensures that that does not happen. Another thing that I added was a sound cue, which was very easy, just a simple spawn the sound so that when the player steps onto the tile, the sound cue is played. Finally, this part from Alan, move to tile, actually physically teleports the player character to the tile. And then here I added in some stamina use so that each time the player steps on a teleport tile, even if they're going back to a previous teleport tile, it will consume stamina. So, a few little issues I encountered were originally turning the player invisible. I had a hard time figuring out exactly what to make visible and what to make invisible. It was similar to my breakable wall here, where I toggle on and off the cube components, but it was a bit more complicated than that because 2 cube components is much more simple than the entirety of the player character. Additionally, the sound cue is a bit of an issue. It was hard to first find a sound that I found enjoyable to listen to that didn't get horribly repetitive, and it was a bit confusing on how to exactly implement the sound itself. Additionally, the pack that I installed, it came from a sound and audio pack, had a cue and just a wave file, and I wasn't sure the difference between the two of them, so I did a little bit of research, and for my project it didn't really matter, so I wound up using a sound cue, and I was lucky enough that it was timed well, so there's no delay when you actually play the game. In a couple test runs in the editor, it sounded a bit delayed, but it was not. I really quick do want to talk about the level itself. So I really combined Alan's teleport tile and my breakable wall with the idea of stamina. So the idea of the player has to have enough stamina to be able to progress through the level. If they run out of stamina, they will be trapped and unable to really interact with anything, because the breakable tiles, when toggling them both on and off, use stamina. The teleport tiles use stamina both ways, so if you step off of it and step back on, it will still use stamina even if you've used it before. So I kind of forced the player to do some good stamina management, as well as making sure they chose movements and picked tiles and destroyed blocks with purpose instead of just running around willy-nilly and destroying things, because that'd be more fun, but that'd be too easy. I mean, hate to make this so short, but that's really it. Alan did a great job documenting his progress. The video he provided was fantastic. He went into detail about everything, was able to explain why he did what, and because it was so well documented, I had no issues actually physically implementing his mechanic as it was given to me. The teleport tile itself was a flawless implementation. If anything, it was issues on my end trying to figure out, how do I make the player invisible? How do I spawn a sound cue? Additionally, how do I use stamina? One thing that I was not able to get to, which I was actually struggling a bit with, I will admit, was doing a check for the stamina, because there is a bug in the game right now. Ooh, don't tell anyone. There's a bug in the game right now where you can continue to destroy the breakable wall and use teleport tiles despite being fully out of stamina. I tried a couple of different things. They weren't really working. I had the logic behind the code correct, but couldn't really just nail it. But I decided that the way the game was, I was happy with it. I was able to add in some sounds and some details, and I was able to make it look a bit more fun than just the plain red magenta game that we were given. So I hope you all enjoyed this little dive into the Illuminator and teleportation spaces, as it has been named. And hopefully, if you can, I would love for you to play through my level and see just how it all got implemented. So thank you so much for listening to me and going on this little journey with me. And I will see you later.